powered by passion. I like that. And got a lot of it to go around here on Inside the Game. Hello, everybody, and welcome back in. We're back live across your airwaves here on the National Soccer Network. What's up, Ryan?
What's up?
Didn't get to talk to you yesterday. Good episode though with Jack Lowry stepping in here on Inside the Game for episode 228. As you were talking about, he knows his stuff, and you guys talked about a lot of good things yesterday. I know he does the Muskegon Risers games. He's actually from out in the Bay Area in California. He's a Cali kid, but he's doing Muskegon games, so it's always interesting to see. But you talk about energy and passion and all those things. Yeah, he's got plenty of it where that comes from. So cool to see him step in, and it looked like you guys had fun with that conversation.
Yeah, no, it was a blast. He knew a lot of deep history about the Premier League and all that fun stuff, and about Christian Pulisic, some music things, and also about the Bay Area and West Coast stuff and sports and the Super Bowl experience that just happened. I didn't ask if he's doing
Yeah.
anything with the NBA All Star Weekend this weekend, but actually no, he definitely isn't because I asked him. That was question of the day if he's even going to watch it, and he goes, "To be honest with you, I didn't even know it was this weekend." So I take it no, he's not doing anything. Just my guess. But no, he also like talked about just failed dynasties and stuff in the NBA and no, it was good conversation.
Yeah, failed dynasties. You were mentioning the Warriors before he came in, but yeah, we'll touch on All Star Weekend and everything that's going on with that. I kind of like the idea of going World versus USA. I think that dynamic continues to get more and more talked about in the
Yeah, but the
National Basketball
format's
Association
stupid.
every year. The format is stupid, and I still don't think that a lot of the best players are really bought into the All Star Game model. And I think the Europeans are the worst proponents, like the worst examples of it, and we'll explain why here coming up, and it has a lot to do with what we've talked about when it comes to the World Cup, which is again Americanized versus not Americanized, and the majority of the best players in our league here in the US in basketball are not American, so it'd be really hard for them to get behind an all-star model. But we also got a lot coming up, though, here in hour number one. I'm going to talk a little bit about the PR for the U.S. men's national team. We're also expecting Tanner White to join us, Syracuse product, talking a little MLIS today, Major League Indoor Soccer. He's going to be joining us to chat about that at the 9:30 hour. Also, is the modern game worse than what it was back in the 2000s? I couldn't really tell you because I wasn't really playing in the 2000s. However, we do know how the game has changed over the years. But let's get to topic number one here today. Also, very quickly, Ryan, 5-1 win for USA men's hockey yesterday. Took on Latvia, won that one
Yeah,
5 to
so
1. Should have been a game. Should have been a game we ran away with. I don't really buy a lot into that, but at least we won the first one. That's good progress.
all that
But
matters is
let's
what you
start
do
off
in
with
the medal rounds.
exactly. Well, and you have to win to get there, right? So they won their first one. So that's good news. So obviously harder teams on the horizon. But the U.S. men's national team, that's the first topic on here. You said, do they have bad PR? We've made a few points about this in the past, but what says you? What's your view on this topic?
So I actually got this idea from an Arsenal fan that I watch on TikTok. He's actually from London and all that fun stuff. And he made a video about these aren't the same old Americans. He's like these aren't the same Americans that we laugh at and that we used to laugh at. And he goes into how they don't even call it soccer and all that fun stuff. But he goes, there's horrible PR surrounding the U.S. men's national team, and that's completely
Yeah.
right. I would agree to that extent. But at the same time, the reason is not that the people that are running the U.S. men's national team PR are bad at their job. It's simply what are the major sports outlets out there? The ESPNs, the Foxes of the worlds, the NBCs, and outside of a couple hours a weekend, a week on NBC, you might see a Premier League game, maybe. But if you look at all those news outlets, well, not news outlets, sports outlets, I should say, they don't push the soccer narratives. They don't push the U.S. men's national team narrative. The U.S. could beat Spain 5-0 in a friendly, and it would not be talked about. That's why you come to Inside the Game and we talk about that stuff. But they don't
Yeah.
actually talk about all that stuff. And obviously, there's soccer's not the main sport and all that stuff. But like, what do you have to do to watch the MLS? You have to watch it on Apple TV. You need subscriptions. How do you watch Premier League games? You need subscriptions on Peacock. How do you watch Champions League games? You have to have subscriptions on Paramount Plus. Very rarely will you see a Premier League game, maybe one game a weekend on NBC. Maybe one game. Maybe. And during football season, you ain't going to see one.
Yeah.
So you
Right.
need a whole bunch of extra stuff to actually try and watch this stuff. Whereas if you were to watch college football, college athletics, you just go to ESPN, some on Fox, some on
Yeah.
ABC. What do you do to watch the NFL? CBS, Fox, ESPN, NBC, all that fun stuff. How do you watch the NBA? Well, the NBA can be a little tricky. There's some other games on NBC, baseball and hockey. You can find that stuff relatively easy. So you have to go out of your way to go find soccer stuff, find Champions League games, find Europa League games, find everything's on ESPN Plus too. I didn't realize that. FA Cup and Carabao Cup. They're on ESPN Plus. So that's the reason why it's bad, is it's not promoted. Why do you think that there's every single day on ESPN there's a discussion about the Lakers should do this, the Lakers should have done this, the Knicks do this, why aren't the Lakers doing, or why aren't the Knicks doing this, the Cowboys this, Alabama that? Like, because that's what they push out on everyone, and that's what the biggest fan bases are. Not to say that there aren't soccer fans in America, because there 100% is. But none of those sports teams are being pushed out onto national levels. Like even the Pat McAfee show. The only reason Chris Richards was on that is because the U.S. asked McAfee if Chris Richards could be on the show. Not that, you know what, let's invite Chris Richards on the show. No, U.S. went to Pat McAfee and said, hey, can you bring Chris Richards on the show just saying that he's U.S. Men's National Team Player of the Year? And Pat McAfee's like, yeah, for sure. But Pat didn't ask for that. They asked him. So, again, you could maybe make the argument that U.S. did a good job on that PR, which they did. But, no, there's horrible public relations when it comes to, like, soccer, U.S. Men's National Team, Pulisic, and all that fun stuff.
Yeah. And the thing that's going to bother me, I think, the most is that leading up to the World Cup in the coming months before it actually starts here in the United States and in Canada and Mexico, you're going to see those media outlets begin to pile on, begin to be like, okay, now we're all in on soccer. Now we're all in on what's going on. Now we want to be a part of this. They don't really have a choice, right? Because it's coming here. So like it would be of bad faith to not at least cover the World Cup and what's going on and do your best to be a part of that, all these media organizations. But that's not really what we're talking about. Like we're talking about everything else outside of that. Even if we're not in a World Cup phase, even if we're a couple of years away from a World Cup, it isn't put on the forefront. And I understand why, because the U.S. has a problem. And the U.S.'s problem is this. The MLS is not relevant if Messi isn't in it. Okay, if Messi leaves the MLS, if they don't have superstars in that league, the league itself just does not hold any weight. And so that's the hard thing for these American media outlets is that, okay, if the MLS isn't really pushing it for us, and when you look at the Premier League, yeah, a lot of people might watch soccer in the United States, but the loyalties and the allegiances are very scattered depending on where you look or who you look at. I mean, people just kind of choose teams depending on who they like. It's one of those situations. It's tough to target a specific market when you're talking about these certain teams or these certain players on the international scale that aren't American, by the way. I'm just talking Premier League here, that don't have to directly deal, that don't directly pertain to certain markets. Now, promoting individual players for the U.S. men's national team, absolutely. I think that should absolutely happen more often. I think we have a lot of characters that we could highlight and spotlight and at least give some sort of a nod to. But the biggest issue for me in my mind is the fact that there just isn't anything here in the U.S. that really gets the soccer fans going. I'm just not that invested into Major League Soccer. And it's the other hard thing, and this is probably the biggest thing in my mind, when all of your best players are over in Europe, right? Let's say like the Pulisics, the Richards, the McKinneys, those players. When they're in Europe and they're playing for their clubs, how do we expect USA Soccer and the PR machine that we want, which I know that they have to create if they want any chance of being relevant in the conversation in the grand scheme of things, how are they supposed to get these guys to be in like commercials or do reads or do other things that get their faces out there a little bit more, or put them in the spotlight? It's a hard thing to do when they're all the way across the world and you're here in the U.S. and not just across the world. I mean,
that's not
what do you mean?
Why
that's
is
not
Bukayo Saka in every New Balance commercial? He's in England.
Well, yeah, but I mean, he's a superstar. I think he's on a different level than any U.S. men's national
Pulisic
team
a superstar?
player. I think we would.
Yeah,
I think we would. And
why
like, why
are
is
we
he in the
putting
commercial? Like,
Sokka in these commercials that are in American airwaves, but Pulisic and
Well,
them aren't there, but they're overseas.
you can't compare those to U.S. men's national team players. I mean, that's essentially the same as putting Messi in a commercial with Patrick Mahomes. I mean, Patrick Mahomes is going to
But
get more eyeballs from American viewers than
but you're
Christian
saying,
Pulisic
but
is. As
what
sad
you
as that
said,
is.
what you said was they're overseas. It's hard to do that. Yet we are seeing it. Hendricks in a couple of them. Mo Salah's in a couple. Like they're in all these New
Yeah,
Balance
that's fair.
commercials, but all those guys are overseas. Whether it's a player comparison or not, they're both overseas.
Yeah.
It ain't difficult for those companies to do it. Why can't Pulisic and
That's
McKennie
fair.
are over there, and so it's not difficult to get those guys. They're overseas.
Yeah.
And Pulisic
Yeah.
would absolutely do numbers here. He's an American. People know who Pulisic is because I've had friends who don't even watch soccer. They're like, what's Christian Pulisic up to? Like, is he still playing well and stuff? Like, people know who Pulisic is, whether they watch soccer or not.
Mm-hmm.
Pulisic would do.
Well, and
fine.
I guess maybe
Pulisic doesn't want to do commercials. Maybe that's the case.
I guess maybe that's our bigger issue. Yeah.
But the thing is we promote non-American soccer players all the time. So it ain't difficult about getting them because they're overseas.
But who would you say we promote the most?
In terms of what? What player?
In terms of what player? Like of all those that we just mentioned?
International?
Probably
USA
Messi.
Players?
Probably Messi, right? In terms of the American media and the American landscape.
So you're asking what soccer player in the whole world does America promote the most? That's what you're asking.
Not in the whole world, but generally, like, who would you say that they promote the most in terms, whether it be jersey sales, commercials, anything?
If we're talking a
single
soccer player, it's Messi and Ronaldo.
Yeah,
those are the main two.
Messi.
But I thought we were having a USA. I thought we were saying which.
We are. My point is that he's here. My point is that he's playing in an American league. That's the point. Like the NBA is an American league. Major League Baseball is an American league. The National Football League is an American league. Like they have these major markets that immediately what they're talking about automatically pertains to them. That's why they talk about, and that's the thing, like people don't get it when it comes to the media. That's why they talk about LeBron. That's why they talk about the Cowboys. That's why because of the numbers. They follow the numbers. That's why they go by that. So it must be something there that they don't see that doesn't really necessitate them having to talk about it. That's the hard thing, like the support and the viewership and everything. That's my point, is that it's fragmented in the US versus some of these other sports have major hotspots and major markets that are more tangible to the media that they're like, we can actually go target. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't be putting players. I think there's just a certain maybe insecurity from certain media outlets. Like I would have that insecurity if I was Pat McAfee talking to soccer players. Truth is, he just doesn't know that much, So for him, it's like, why would he put himself in a position like that? And I'm sure I could probably talk about other shows just like that, but that is, that's the other hard thing though too.
I mean, McAfee should feel insecure. He's a professional national spotlight person. If you're insecure about interviewing a soccer player, look, what's a sport that I don't know? If a lacrosse player wanted to be on our show, I know nothing about lacrosse. I did a couple lacrosse games
Good old lax.
at CMU. Sure, I don't know much about the sport, but what am I doing for it? I am trying to teach myself at the same time. I'm asking basic questions. If you're a person in the media that feels insecure because someone wants to be on your show and you don't know anything about it, that's a you problem. Like if John all of a sudden was like, hey, we got Oakland women's lacrosse coming on the show. I don't know something about it. I'm just going to sit here and be like, start asking questions so I could teach myself and then also listen well enough where I could bounce questions off, but it looks like I know that. Like if people are insecure about soccer, I mean, that is their biggest issue then. Why would you feel insecure about the game of soccer? Like that makes no sense, because once upon a time, I'm sure people felt insecure about Europeans playing basketball here in the NBA, and maybe some Puerto Ricans and Japanese players playing in the MLB. Sure. But now it's all accepted. So why aren't we accepting soccer? And ultimately, I think that's what the World Cup will eventually do for us, is I think the game of soccer will ultimately be accepted in our country. But no, we do a horrible job of promoting all of our players. Like, I bet you I bet you majority of Americans know who Pulisic is, and that's it. I bet you that's it. No one know. I bet you a bunch don't know who Weston McKennie is. Look, we have some of these players, Weston and Pulisic and Richards to be specific, who are absolutely killing it. And I mean killing it in their top leagues. Would I say they're superstars? Richards, I would say no, but Pulisic, I think, is a superstar in Serie A. You could maybe make the case that Weston McKennie is just outside of a superstar in Serie A with what he's doing. So there's no lack of superstars. So how do we get these guys over here? Instead of putting my goat Bukayo Saka in damn New Balance commercials or Endrick in New Balance commercials, throw Weston, throw a Chris Richards. Enough of throwing all these other guys in it. If you want the game to, if I'm U.S. Soccer, promote that.
Yeah, I mean, the question is, does it really sell? Does it really sell to? I mean, for our purposes, a little bit different, right? Because our focus is on soccer. At least here in hour number 1, we get into hour 2, it's all sports. But our focus on this show is soccer. And so when people come here, they expect to hear about updates about U.S. men's national team players. Same case with, we listen to Alexi Lalas. Little surprise coming up a little bit later on about that. Landon Donovan. We also got Tim Howard. We got a lot of former players that have podcasts and talk shows of their own. We know what to expect when we go there. But from a general American audience perspective, again, for places like ESPN, it is hard for them simply because, again, they are going by the numbers.
The simple solution
and
is
if you go by the numbers,
if you're a media company or you're a company that wants to promote their product, whether that's clothes, food, beer, whatever it is, because for some reason Messi's in Michelob Ultra commercials, it doesn't even say a word, and Lowe's commercials, he doesn't even say a word. Walk into a youth soccer tournament that has like 30, 40 fields, and just walk around and see what little kids what jerseys they're wearing. Majority will say Messi and Ronaldo, majority. But then you got to look at who's the third. And I bet you, I haven't been to a youth soccer tournament in a couple of years, but I will tell you this, as I was leaving the game of soccer in the youth game, I'll tell you there's a handful of Pulisic jerseys that I saw of little kids walking around. And when you go to like the little the pop-up tents of jersey sales, and again, those jerseys sucked, but like in terms of quality. But like the 3 that were up there, Pulisic, Messi, Ronaldo. There's no way you can't promote Pulisic in this country and not get numbers. There's no way. Again, we could, obviously, we do not know Pulisic personally. Maybe he does not want to do, maybe he's like Eminem and just doesn't want to do commercials. Maybe he doesn't. But at the same time, I don't think Messi wants to do any commercials in the United States, but you know what? That guy's in the Boys movie, or in the the promotion of it. He's in Lowe's commercials, and he's in Mick Ultra commercials. If Messi ain't want to do it, then Pulisic, there ain't an excuse for you. And you can't come out and bitch about it. I remember Pulisic bitched about there's not enough fans in the stadium. Well, maybe promote yourself. Promote your own brand, the U.S. men's national team by maybe doing some commercials. And then people will start to like, man, I really like this Pulisic guy. Let's see what he does. But maybe a lot of people just know Pulisic is being bitchy about it in the media. So yeah, that could be another turnoff for him. But there's no way we can't promote American soccer players when we're promoting overseas players.
Yeah.
No way. And
it probably
ain't
would.
No damn superstar, I'll tell you that.
It would do numbers for American soccer fans, but would it do numbers for the general American audience? Stacked up against the likes of LeBron James and Jerry West. I don't know. I hope it would. And I hope that changes.
Jerry West? When did he retire? Like the 80s? Why are we comparing Jerry West?
The logo.
Jerry
NBA.
West ain't in no commercial. That's not that I know of.
It was just I was referring to the NBA. Sorry, I was trying to be
Steph,
silly and
there
quirky.
you go. Say Steph. There
there
you
you go.
West. That'll do numbers.
Let's talk about FC Bayern Summer Camps, proud sponsor of the National Soccer Network, fostering football excellence across North America. Open to boys and girls of all skill levels, FC Bayern camps deliver elite training inspired by FC Bayern Munich's world-class philosophy. Select your city and start a promising soccer path. And right now, save $30 on registration by using promo code BayernNSN30. Again, that's BayernNSN30, or scan the QR code on your screen. Learn more at FCBayernYouth.com. With that, we welcome you back into Inside the Game, episode 229 here on the National Soccer Network. Again, next week we got a stacked lineup of interviewees coming on to Inside the Game. Ryan, I know we've talked a lot about bringing new people into the show, and, well, here you go. We're all in. Evan Stockton calls games on ESPN+. The voice of Western Michigan Broncos Athletics does a lot of their games over at Western Michigan, also with Prep Sports. Yeah, well, somebody doesn't like that. You're going to have to get into him a little bit on that because I'm sure you got a few things to share. But he does their basketball, does games on ESPN+, also with the Prep.
From?
Wasn't Evan Stockton Syracuse? Wasn't he Syracuse?
You worked with him.
Western? I don't know. I don't remember where he graduated from, to be honest with you. I thought he was a Syracuse kid. Pretty sure. Alexi Lalas coming up Tuesday, February the 17th, though. I think that one's pretty self-explanatory. The Ginger himself, we've already had him on the show once upon a time. That was back earlier in season 1. Had him around. Also, Alexi Ayala. This is going to trip me up all of next week. I hope you know this. And I hate the fact that we stacked it.
Her name's Alexis.
Stacked them.
So.
We got Ayala and Lala. So we got Alexi Lalas and we got Alexi Ayala.
Just say Alexis.
So Alexis is her full first name then?
Yeah. So it's Alexis. So.
Okay. All right. So it's Alexi on the screen, just so that we're aware. So the graphic does not have it correct, but she's on Wednesday. And then JP Dellacamera, legendary broadcaster, will be joining us on Thursday, February the 19th. So we can fix up that typo. But anyways, outside of that, a lot of great
Tanner
people
White
coming
will
up
be
for
next
week.
Friday as well. So 5 days. Awesome.
Yeah. So got a lot of good stuff coming up. Of course, Tanner White joining us here at 9:30. So looking forward to talking to him a little bit about the Major League Indoor Soccer. Of course, we got a team near us, Muskegon, right down the road that we've been covering all year this year. But who are you excited the most about talking with coming up next week?
All of them. That's what I would say. All of them. Very excited to see all four, actually all 5 of them, to be honest with you, because Tanner's on that one too. And, just everyone's different perspectives, and especially some of the game of soccer. Again, doesn't really matter to me because I think they all give really good insight on what they do. But, excited about the soccer, some of the World Cup and some of the moments. Actually, one of the moments potentially coming up before we talk to Alexi Lalas, he was involved in for one of the top 120 World Cup moments that I'll be putting out on social media, again, every single day at 4. So I'll have to ask him a question about that. But I know that, so we got a couple of minutes here before Tanner gets on. Let's go through a couple of mailbag questions because, there's 5 minutes. And why would we talk about something for just 5 minutes when we're going to get interrupted and then do something else? So let's see here. Let's what do we want to go here? Do we have any questions? This one about Christian Pulisic, if he can make it to the Premier League. As long as he's in form and healthy in a top 5 league, I am happy. Well, yeah, I guess that's true. It's Christian Pulisic, man. He's an unbelievable player, and we hope that he is healthy. Man City here. These guys are funny. This one's coming from Flush Boy. Best keeper in the world, Ballon d'Or winner at midfield, and a striker that's won a Golden Boot in multiple leagues, though. But how is that not top 5? Well, buddy, Flush Boy, when you have 119 legal charges currently pending over your club, you're telling me that's a top 5 job? Because after Pep leaves, like everyone about the whole Jim Harbaugh situation, after Harbaugh leaves, everything starts to come out and all the charges come in. So what happens when Pep leaves, which seems like it's going to be at the end of this year? You're going to have it's like the Bane meme. Someone wants us. There has to be someone in the wreckage. Whatever the manager that is going to be in the wreckage, no matter if he's there or not. So, yeah, that's why it's not a top 5 choice.
Yeah, and you're running the risk of, if you put yourself in that situation, that all that's going to come crashing down. It's all going to come down at some point. Like the truth is it's all gonna eventually catch up to whoever it is. So the weight of those expectations, which again Pep gets the benefit of the doubt because he got kind of got grandfathered into it being there for the last decade. I'm sure he's had his hand in it a little bit too, but you feel like whoever's up next is gonna get the brunt of all that's coming on down the line.
This one about England being a top 10 job. Let's see. Yeah. This one coming from Sack Time. Southgate received backlash because he had one of the greatest generations in English history and didn't win anything. Well, if you go back to the Lampard generation, the Gerrard generation, the Rio Ferdinand, the Wayne Rooney, that generation, they didn't win squat. They didn't even make it past the quarterfinals in the World Cups or the Euros. So, and that manager got sacked too. So the point is, you have a great plethora of players in England to choose from. It's unbelievable talent.
Yeah.
Arguably some of the best in the world. But when you can't win with it, even when you get to a semifinal, even when you get to a final in the Euros and you're up 1-0, you still don't get it done. You still get ripped on. And that is the best that anyone has ever done in the last decade or so. Or honestly, more than that. They've only won one World Cup in their life. So they're always complaining about something over in England. But I saw Tanner. He was on.
Yeah, it looks like he's ready to go.
There he is. Tanner White. Thank you for joining the show here today.
What's up, my man?
Guys.
Good. We appreciate you hopping on the show, getting to talk a little bit about major indoor soccer. You know, we had referenced it a little bit coming up, but thanks as always for hopping on here on the National Soccer Network. Wanted to talk about you a little bit quick though. Your stats and information director for the MLS Pro, as well as the women's side of things too. What's that job been like? How's it been getting into the season, and how has the 25-26 campaign been so far?
Yeah, sure. Let's unpack all of that at once. So that's correct. Stats and information director with Major League Indoor Soccer across all of our three properties, MLIS, WMLIS, our women's side, as well as MLISX, our exhibition side that's kicked off this year. Let me tell you something. On the women's side, an incredibly ambitious weekend, as you're going to see a bunch of clips here. Last weekend in Las Vegas, an 8-game round-robin tournament-style kind of weekend. It was absolutely unbelievable. All the boots on the ground there in Vegas made all this happen, along with, of course, the NSN team in the studio. You guys are amazing, and we could not have done it without all of you. That was one of the biggest efforts that I've ever seen across the soccer world. I mean, it was kind of a historic effort throughout all of, indoor soccer in general. And the Vegas weekend there, I've never quite seen something like it. Our commissioner's down there on the ground. He's also in the ownership team with our Las Vegas sides. His host side did really, really well. Had a couple of shutouts, the first couple of shutouts in the history of the women's side of the league in those first 2 games of the weekend. It was positively electric. On the men's side, it's every single weekend, the competition level is just insanity. It almost gets better every single weekend as we go along. Conference standings are tight all around there. In some of the basic structure of the league, we've got year 4 here for the men's side in MLIS, year 2 for the women's side. That doubled in size on WMLIS from just year 1 last year to year 2. 4 teams to 8 this year, and the talks that we have about expansion every single week, I gotta say, in our front office meetings, in our normal league meetings, it's so exciting, guys. The trend is so upward, and it's happening really, really quickly. The things we might be able to cook up for next year are awesome. Plus, like I said, our exhibition league kicked off this year. They're rolling. We got all 3 at once. I stay busy. Don't you worry, guys.
What would you say has generated that momentum in terms of teams wanting to join the leagues?
Yeah, there's a couple of things. There's, of course, competition with other leagues, and everybody's looking for, hey, what's the unifying body of indoor soccer? There's still not quite one of those yet, that one definitive kind of leader of the pack. So we want to be that. We've got that in the back of our minds that, yeah, we think we can be that, and we put this product out on the field. we put this broadcast product out there that we think is fantastic, and we're just killing it again with the help of National Soccer Network here and our distribution deal for you guys. And then beyond that, it's just the product on the field is fantastic. People recognize all these games are really competitive. They're really high level. These athletes are unbelievable, and the backgrounds of them. Some have, played some club and some rec here and there, and then they just show up to this professional tryout and they crush it. Some have this professional indoor and outdoor background and have been everywhere and done everything in soccer, and there's everything in between.
So I kind of want to ask a question that you kind of hinted at a little bit there is how do these players, get to these teams? Is there maybe an academy system? Is it just straight tryouts? Maybe is there some scouting involved?
Yeah, so mostly you have local tryouts at first. It really does start with somebody says, especially with new teams coming in, hey guys, I'm building a team here and we're going to plop it into Phoenix is a great example who you'll see on your screen here. And I got to say, that Phoenix squad absolutely torched everybody in Vegas. They went undefeated on the weekend in 3-0 and huge margins in all those games. Yeah, they were positively scary. They're fast, they're big, they're strong. Allie Moon, the owner, was getting on the goal sheet there. She was blocking shots. So fun to see player owners. And that's another big draw, too, is across the women's side especially, you really have a bunch of player owners. Jessica Kennedy with Kalamazoo is another one. Tanya Chavez with Albuquerque wasn't able to make the trip there to Vegas. But the player owners, they just say, guys, I'm putting a team together. Let's host some tryouts at our venue and let's see who shows up and let's talk to everybody that I've met in the outdoor scene. And when it's all said and done, let's put this roster together and go up there and play some games and see how it turns out.
Yeah.
The academy system, I think that it's going to come around. I think that our exhibition league, not saying we're going to go true pro rel. We don't have that system quite in place yet, but it's something that we've talked about, right? Which could be really exciting eventually. Maybe, your exhibition champions, automatic promotion kind of thing. But it is truly more so local level of somebody says, I'm putting a team together, and they contact who they know, and the girls that start showing up contact who they know, and word of mouth and social media and our websites, and people find us and they say, yeah, this looks cool, let's do it.
I think one of the many advantages of indoor soccer as compared to outdoor soccer, not that we want to compare the different types of soccers, but one of the things that I've certainly caught on to, especially covering it, even the MASL is another good example. It's just the high energy, the quickness of the game, the caroms off the walls, all the things that happen that really kind of generate that energy and that momentum and make it a great product to consume. What is it that in your mind, when you watch the product in front of you, that separates your league from maybe the rest of those? You talked about a couple of different indoor soccer leagues. There isn't really a unified one. What makes yours a little bit different than maybe some of the others?
Man, that's a good question. And there's so many reasons to love it. I've been throughout so many different sides of the league. I started last year as just a broadcaster. I didn't have this front office role. Now that I have stepped in with the stats information director role, I've gotten to see, almost every single side of the league that you can imagine. The uniqueness of our product, I would say, is probably there isn't this tremendous disparity between teams in terms of, some of your
parity.
What are your players coming from, right? What are their soccer backgrounds? There is much more parity between teams, and there's every single night, there's tons and tons of competitive matches throughout the weekend, and you want to tune in every single one. You don't know what the outcomes are going to be. You see upsets pulled all the time, and you see OTs in games that you would have thought, well, this is some team's going to run away with it, this and that. Whenever you think you know what's going to happen going in the weekend, guys, let me tell you, you're just wrong. and I'm wrong all the time here throughout really all three of our leagues. That is fantastic, and I don't know that you see that with every other major indoor league.
You talked a little bit about, the league expanding rapidly, especially adding a whole bunch of different teams. Do you guys kind of keep into, are we expanding too quickly, or, you guys kind of have the right amount, that sweet spot, I guess, almost in terms of expanding?
It is a great question. Again, these are chats that we have every single week in our front office meetings and even in some of our league meetings. if we are able to, practically double our number of teams on both sides, men's and women's sides next year, and add, as many exhibition teams as we can, because we can just continue to slap them into that league there, we are all about it. There becomes some logistical concerns, right? What's our finals weekend look like? How many games can we even get on our regular season schedule before price starts to really become an issue? What's travel look like? We want to keep geographical pods the most that we can get them, right? So our Midwest teams play our Midwest teams, and the Southwest sticks in the Southwest. There are fair concerns about expanding a little bit too quickly. I don't think we're there yet because we have more room to keep rocking it. And the fact that we already doubled our women's side from last year, lost one club, but added 5 new women's clubs. And on the men's side, went from 9 to 13. And we're still thinking, yeah, there's tons and tons of room, and teams that we're talking with around these other leagues every single week that, some of whom have committed perhaps. That's, can't get too far into that, but some have likely are leaning that way, and there's a ton to be excited about. I think that if we do double on both sides, men's and women's sides, I would not be surprised, and still with room for more.
I wanted to work this one in really quickly before we get towards the end of our conversation. You're a power lifter too. So you're a broadcaster, you went to Syracuse, but you also do powerlifting. Is that like an income stream for you, or is that just a hobby on the side? I'm actually watching some of your videos here, and yeah, you can put up some numbers.
This is hilarious. Thank you for not warning me on this, guys. So I dabble from time to time. Perhaps I lift weights. I got into competition shortly after I finished playing college football. I played college football for 4 years at a small little D here in Kalamazoo.
Kalamazoo Valley, yeah,
right on. Kalamazoo College, but anyway,
or Kalamazoo College. My bad. Whoops.
Yeah, that's all right. We get that all the time.
Pleasant people on this show.
So on that note, as I got into powerlifting, I had a strength coach who, I had finished playing college football, but he said, hey, you would probably be really good at this. You should try it. And I thought, well, I don't really know much about this sport. Is it a sport really? Do they compete in it? Then he said, well, I know this local gym owner in Kalamazoo there, and he'd probably get you started. I go in there one time, and I hit, a squat PR, and then from there I was kind of hooked. And been going to this gym now for a number of years, Raw Strength in Kalamazoo, and have competed a couple of times there. I'm competing in Grand Rapids in May. No, there is not a whole lot of money yet, but the strength sports commentating that you do see me doing time to time, absolutely love that, and I'm going to continue to rock that out. And perhaps bring that to the higher ups at some point over here with PMG. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that'd be.
Yeah, no, hey, I'm all in on it. Yeah, it's an Olympic sport, so yeah, absolutely, I would do that.
Right.
That's awesome.
A little bit back to the league, which again, that's amazing. What you're doing.
I suppose if we have to,
I'd like to maybe see these strength competitions because. Boy, I can't lift that much. I lift a couple times a week, but not as much as that. When are the playoffs? How's the playoff format? How does everything play out in terms of the playoffs and crowning a champion?
Yeah, we are so excited about the playoff structure that we've got this year. We were in Cleveland last year, and you happened to see the Cleveland Crunch, one of our most storied teams and team that's been around forever. Who was the host team there, and they had a lot of their staff running the events, boots on the ground, and they were runners up on the men's side. Our Chicago Mustangs women's team, they swept everybody. They're still undefeated, matter of fact, never lost on our women's side. And we said, okay, Cleveland was awesome. We liked it a lot. We had the both semifinals on the men's side there as well as the final, and then the women's side had just a final for this year. Now we say, let's do it even bigger, and naturally that led us to Las Vegas. It's partly a result of our commissioner being located in Vegas there and being part of the ownership, and he had tons and tons of connections. We have a big venue secured there in Vegas, Orleans Arena, and the beauty of this, 7,777 seats, right? I mean, it's Vegas. You got to lean into all of that. So you got the casino, awesome. The resort, all that. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
you got the casino, the resort, all that attached with the arena. and that's the last weekend of March, the 28th, 29th. You're going to have 2 semifinals for each men's and women's side. So you got 4 matches all Saturday there, and men's and women's finals on Sunday. That's March 29th. We
Awesome.
are stoked, guys.
Any favorites in your mind? Any predictions on what might happen in the playoffs?
We always think that we know.
Not
Again,
that you
and-
can,
and
not
every-
that you can choose sides, but
He
I'll
said
put you on the
don't know.
spot
Even
here.
when you want to know, you don't know.
I know what you mean, guys. Yeah. So I got to tell you, our undefeated sides right now in the North
Mhm.
Conference, you still got Toronto, 7-0. They're putting up big numbers. They got a goalkeeper, Philip Zendelik, reigning keeper of the year on the men's side. And that guy scores goals, and he strikes like a striker. I'm telling you. That guy's nasty.
Yeah.
And there's a great chance that we're going to see Toronto there. It'd be, you don't want to say hard for them to miss at this point because anybody could fall apart at any given time. But Toronto in the North, and again, the Cleveland Crunch, they're a powerhouse. They've been around forever. There's a really good chance that they did go up last weekend and lose in Toronto, but you still see them sitting at 6-1. And okay, they're probably not likely to be caught in that North Conference. In the South, Amarillo Bombers, defending champs. They beat Cleveland last year in the final. An OT, no golden goal in the overtime in the final, and that didn't sit right with me. You know what I mean, guys?
Yeah.
I figure we should play golden
Yeah.
goal all the time forever.
I think golden goal's great.
I think, yeah,
Yeah,
perfect.
I would have loved to see it. It still would have resulted in Amarillo being the champs. Nonetheless, they did beat Cleveland last year. They're 7-0 again to start this year, and it's like, man, we've seen this before. And then that second spot, because you got to be in the top 2 of the conference to make the semifinal, down there in the South, there's some discussions to be had. So we've got Utah in Salt Lake City. They field men's and women's clubs. There's a good chance that you could see either one of them. They sit 4-3 right now with the 12-game regular season. You got to start asking, okay, yeah, if they win out, they're really going to be almost locked in. And then Orlando's actually played 11 out of 12 regular season games already, funny enough. And they, at 7-4 right now, but you have one overtime win where you get just the 2 points, right? They really could have used the last win in regulation. They got one more to tack the 3 points on. If I had to pick one right now, if I'm closing my eyes, throwing a dart, guys, I think give me still the top 2. I think Toronto and Amarillo. And I think you're going to get back-to-back champs. You hear it right now, and I know Orlando is going to be upset about it, and Cleveland's going to be upset about it. I'm sure Amarillo's going to clip it, but yeah, I think Amarillo is just that good, leading the league with the fewest goals allowed per game.
Last one here, Tanner. If you could describe this league in just a couple of words, what would it be?
You know something? It's a good thing that we've got a great tagline on our website. You're talking the new era of indoor soccer. Everything we're doing, it's different. It's bigger. Again, our production, fantastic. Our broadcast crews on the ground in each arena, they have done awesome. Our camera quality, the quality of the streams that people are watching, condensing games down. We've got some full game recaps that certain teams will put together. They're doing awesome and sharing clips on their social medias all the time. You can't watch the games, then nobody's interested.
Yep.
And frankly, our games just look incredible there. MLIS Pro TV is our league YouTube channel. I put that together. I'm the manager for it, and that's my baby. I geek about it all the time. We are we're hitting it all at once in our stride there on the YouTube channel. Numbers are good, numbers are big, and it just looks awesome.
That's awesome, and we appreciate you stopping by, Tanner, to talk about it. And obviously, we've gotten in on the excitement here on the National Soccer Network, getting to cover the teams over in our area, and continue to do that more and more as the year goes. Best of luck with everything moving forward. Keep lifting those weights. Make sure you get plenty of calories in you, so you don't get injured or anything. And we look forward to having you on the show here moving forward every week.
Hey, Ryan, Nate, thanks so much, guys. Pleasure to be here.
I'm gonna start have to lift.
Yes,
more.
sir.
I'm gonna have to start lifting more just to be able to look a little
Get to your
prepared.
level,
I
man.
hope to motivate. I hope to motivate. Thanks so much.
Thanks, see you, Tanner.
You're the man.
Later,
Appreciate
guys.
it. All righty. Tanner White here on Inside the Game. Yeah, I do lift. I just don't lift competitively. I'm not trying to beat like this team or that team. I'm just trying to beat obesity now at this point in my life.
Can I just say, I got last week I got my first stretch mark on my left bicep. That's like that's
Okay.
like the coolest thing I've ever gotten. Like people like my sister.
I got one in high school.
My sister and mom always get tattoos, and they like talk about like and they all have meaning on it and all that fun stuff. But I got a stretch mark. Like I looked at it, I was like, dude, because I noticed it after I played basketball. I'm like, wow, did I get scratched there? Because I drive a lot, and I'm like, oh, that can't be it after a couple days. And I realized what it was. I was like, oh my gosh, that's so awesome. That's just like for people who don't know, that's like the badge of honor when it comes to
It
lifting.
is.
It's like the
It
badge.
is. I remember when I got playing football in high school. I was like, that's nice. I like that. But we'll take a step aside, be right back, wrap up hour number 1, and then we'll get into our all sports content here on Inside the Game.
Experience the thrill of the game like never before with NSN's Game Rewind.
Dive into full match commentaries enhanced with cutting-edge dynamic graphics,
Letting you relive the highs and lows of your favorite matches in astonishing detail.
whether it's a championship win or a legendary play.
NSN Game Rewind bridges the past and future with a broadcast experience designed to captivate.
Call 586-304-4405
And start watching today.
Welcome back Inside the Game, final segment of hour number 1 here on ITG. Nate Wangler, Ryan Glinsky. Big thanks as always, Tanner White joining us here on the show. He'll be joining us every single week to talk about Major League Indoor Soccer. So expecting to see Tanner back on the show quite a bit in the coming weeks. But Ryan, wrapping up hour number 1 with the question of, is the modern game worse than what it was back in the 2000s? Now, again, I don't know much about soccer in the 2000s, at least the early 2000s. Yeah, I watched a little bit of the U.S. men's international side, but outside of that,
That was a great watch.
don't really have a lot to hold on to. So, what was it that you wanted to discuss, or that you think is the biggest difference between what we saw in the game maybe a couple of decades ago and what we see out of it now?
First off, real quick, it's my little cousin Ronnie's birthday today. Happy 10th birthday to you, Ronnie. I hope you have a wonderful day. You get a couple of
10th, Ronnie.
horns. But no, basically, I saw this tweet from Mark Goldbridge. Again, I think he's really funny. Man United fan, but he's a regional Manchester United fan, which you don't find very often. But he sent this tweet out. He said, seriously, go back and watch the Prem games between 96 and 04 and compare it to now. Quicker, more dribbling, more worldies, more risk. Just a much better watch. We've been conned by this modern way of playing. And then obviously everyone knows Arsenal fan and everything. And what I have watched over the recent months is the same thing over and over again. And if I go back to years ago, a couple of years ago in the 20s here, it's the same thing. And then when I go back to like when I first started watching soccer in the late 2010s, I know that tweet is from 96 to 94 and all that, but even in the 2010s there's still something. The game of soccer is so robotic nowadays, and I blame 2010 Spain for that, because the way that they played was so unbelievable and everyone wanted to copy it. It's almost like when Steph Curry learns how to shoot threes, everybody wants to shoot threes and just chuck them up. Newsflash, you ain't Steph Curry and you ain't Klay Thompson. It ain't always going to translate. Just like nobody is the Spaniards. That's what makes soccer so great, is there's so many different countries in this world that play a different brand of style. That's what makes it the beautiful game. But what I'm getting at here is Pep Guardiola instituted, one of the most beautiful brands of soccer and at Barcelona and now Man City and Bayern Munich. But now that is translating to everybody, and it's gotten to the English game, and everyone is doing the same thing because it's so robotic. But if you go back to, when Sir Alex Ferguson and Arsene Wenger were the managers of the big clubs, it wasn't necessarily like that. It was a lot of taking risks. It was a lot of, trying to dribble past a couple of players like a Messi does. I know not everyone can do that, but it's so robotic now. It's like based off, you're basing everything off of movements of other players and everything. You're not being creative. It's not risk everything like the GOATed 2014 ad said back in the day. Risk everything. It's not that anymore. People took risks. People took shots from 30 yards out. They took volleys from outside the 18 all the time. Now we get it. It's like you're frowned upon if you take a shot outside the 18 unless it's a free kick. And it's so frowned upon now, and it's the same. You can turn on a Premier League game every single week, and you can watch 5 games back to back to back to back, and you will realize that you're watching the same game, just maybe a little bit less talent. That's all it is. And it's always, we got to play out of the back. Let's connect with a couple of midfielders. Oh, no, let's go back. Keep the ball. Keep the ball. Your wingers, you have to have an overlapping run. Wingers, you can't take a shot from just outside the 18 anymore. You've got to find that pass inside the box. It's pass, 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 pass. Death by 1,000 passes. That's what Spain ruined, and that Spain team was so good. I don't want to discredit that, but it's so robotic. We're so stuck up on, like, you can't risk the ball. You can't lose the ball. You have to keep it. We have to play a numbers game because, granted, if we're based off the numbers, the more you keep the ball, the better chances you are to win a game, and that's, in theory, that's correct. But soccer is such a weird sport where the best team doesn't always win. You can have more possession and more chances, but all it takes is one chance for one team to score a goal. And I just say it like this, and to wrap up my point here is it's just the same thing over and over and over again. Nobody takes risks. Every team is set up the same way, maybe a couple minor adjustments, and it's just the same thing. It's almost like just robots out there. And to a certain point, like if I'm a neutral fan of, like, I don't really have a team or anything, I would understand that and see it from that lens. But obviously I'm a diehard fan, and obviously I'm going to tune in my team. But if I don't have a team and I watch a couple games, it's just the same thing over and over again.
I once heard someone describe the evolution of sports, or maybe the de-evolution, depending on the way you want to look at it. And this pertains to soccer/football. This pertains to every other sport, and I'll give you examples here shortly. It's a battle of the romantics, which is what I would call the old school fans, and the nerds, which is what I would call the new school fans. The romantics like the sports because of the romanticism of it. Creativeness, more dribbling, as you talked about, more of a willingness to take risks, more of a willingness to do the bold things and try and make plays. And we saw that a lot, right? Decades ago, we saw that a lot. But now we're getting into an era of the sport where analytics is what drives everybody. It's what drives everything in sports. We look at the numbers so much, and it doesn't really matter what it looks like, so long as you are winning games. It doesn't really matter. But we go by what the numbers show us. And so I don't know if soccer is much in the same way at the professional level that we've seen in other sports here in the United States, but that has been, in my estimation, the evolution across the board. We've gone away from the romantic side of things, which is go out, be creative, make plays, just, versus now we're really heavy into the analytics. American sports examples, basketball. You can say that you don't like the Steph Curry era of everyone shooting 3-pointers and going that way. But listen, 3 is worth more than 2. Okay, if I'm a better 3-point shooting team than the other team, also, if I can find quality looks in the first 5 seconds of a shot clock, those are the most efficient looks that you're going to get. That's what the analytics shows us. Yeah, okay, it's not sexy. It's not half-court basketball with Charles Barkley in the middle and back-to-back and banging down low. That's not efficient. So, and also the rules have changed. Yeah, we'll talk about that too. But the 3-point ball, if you can hit it more than the other team, you're going to win the game. Like that's the same thing with home runs in Major League Baseball. No one cares about strikeouts anymore. No one's laying down bunts. If you go out and strike out 3 times a game, so what?
Unless you're the Tigers.
If you hit a home run, that's a great day. If I go 1 for 4 with a homer and 3 strikeouts, that is a great day in baseball. But the analytics show us, who cares about the other 3 ABs? Did you just get 3 runs on 1 swing? Good. You just flipped the entire game. So this is, I think, really across the board. It is, again, it's just this battle of now teams are looking at, and maybe soccer is the same exact way. What do the analytics show us? Like in these certain situations, in these formations and what we're doing, what do the analytics tell us that we need to do in this situation in order to win? And that, again, that can come in a variety of ways. So you already talk about Liverpool and how Arsenal, and how great they've been on set pieces this year. I mean, is that creative or brilliant or, taking risks or anything? No, but they're taking advantage of their free ones. And analytically speaking, you're supposed to be able to do that. And it's going to help you win games. So yes, to some people, I think it is boring to watch. And I think, the thing is about technology and numbers and stats and analytics is if you get too far into them, it can really take away from the enjoyment of the game. Because then you just start doing things that you're like, so what if what if AI told you to do that? Like that, let's not do it because the game is actually better without it. But that's just not the way it works now.
Look, computers don't win championships. People win championships.
Oh yeah, players win championships.
Coaches.
Yeah.
I think it's a good...
Being individually brilliant is never going to go out of style. If you can go out and get it, you can go out and get it. Like, that's still going to be a part of it.
It's good. It's good to see... I think it's a good recommendation of I think the numbers can help with, recommending certain things and like, oh, what do the numbers say? Let's maybe base it off that. But to win championships, I can't tell that numbers have ever won a Super Bowl, a Premier League, a Champions League, a World Cup. I honestly, I don't know. And quite frankly, if I'm looking at, it's called the beautiful game. That's what it's called. And it's not quite as beautiful anymore. It's kind of like mid in terms of that. I'm not saying soccer is this unenjoyable sport because it 100% is enjoyable to watch. But when I look back to, if I look back 10 years ago and I look at the top 10 goals from a month or a top 10 goals from a season, and I look to last year, the year before, or this year, and the top 10 goals from a month or a season, it is so vastly different. And it's almost like we are putting players now, creative players, and that's why some South Americans flame out when they go to Europe, and especially in the Premier League, is we are just putting players in boxes. We are just putting them in a box. Why is Messi one of the best players in the world? And not one of, but Messi the best player of all time? It's creative. He goes on his own. Some of his goals are humanly impossible. There was a remember Sports Science back in the day on ESPN?
I do, yeah, I do.
His goal, I think it was against Atletico Bilbao, humanly impossible that he scored based on like the numbers and everything. But you know what Messi did? Why he's the GOAT? He went out there and said, F it. I'm going to put my balls on the table and dribble past 5 or 6 players and score one of the greatest goals of all time. Do you honestly think the numbers in the national championship game from your guys, the Indiana Hoosiers, Curt Cignetti, looked at it and said the numbers said QB draw up the middle against one of the best defenses in the country? Nah. Cignetti said, F it. Let's go QB draw straight up the middle. And Fernando Mendoza, who is not a real person, just put his body in the line and scored an unbelievable touchdown, and that touchdown will go down in the history of college football. Numbers don't win you championships.
They guide your
and the
decisions,
coaches and your
though.
game plan do.
No, I get it. The players win it, but the numbers guide your decisions. That's what I'm saying. Like we're in an analytic-driven sports world
That's
now.
so dumb. Like, guys, it's not.
That's how it works, man.
What, we go for it here because the numbers say so? No, go with your gut.
Why do you think more teams are going for it on 4th down across the NFL?
Because Dan Campbell set it up.
No, it's because the analytics tell you that you should.
And does
if
it
it's
work out
4th
for a
down
lot
and
of
half a
teams?
yard?
Honestly, does it work for a lot of teams? No,
For the Eagles, it does with the push.
That's a
For the Lions, I
totally
think it
different
did.
thing. And the
For the Lions,
analytics
it did
didn't
for a
set
long
that up.
time.
The
For the
analytics
Lions,
didn't set that up. They created a play. And now everyone wants
but
to create the play. And then they realize that our quarterback doesn't squat 555 pounds. And we can't do it successfully. And then we have Saquon Barkley who squats like 700 pounds and pushing him.
Yeah.
That's why Jason
You know what
Kelsey
else?
hates the play. But did the
You know what else
analytics tell you to tush push? No.
Probably.
Did
How
the
efficient is that
analytics
play?
create the tush push? Honestly.
No, but
No.
it probably tells you that QB sneaks, if run efficiently, are the most efficient play in the sport. Which I would agree.
If we're looking at the game of soccer, we don't have creative players anymore. We don't. We simply don't. It is pass, 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 maybe make a run here, in the box, death by 1,000 passes. We no longer have the James Rodriguez, who was amazing in 2014 World Cup of how he dribbled. Neymar is now like shunned because of the way he plays now. Like you won't see Neymar's anymore, and I don't even really like Neymar, but his flair, his style, unbelievable. We don't have Ronaldinho's anymore. We won't have Messi's anymore. Because look at Mbappe. Mbappe's in a box. Mbappe ain't creative. He's just fast. And he just runs. He ain't taking people on anymore. No.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm looking at the game, nobody does this anymore. And obviously, sure, numbers say stuff and what you should do. But the game of soccer is called the beautiful game. Look at the Netherlands in total football. Shout out Ted Lasso. Look at Pele in the 50s. Unbelievable style. That's what started the beautiful game. And now it's just robots running around. It's not as fun anymore. Used to be called the beautiful game, and it's not that anymore.
I agree. I see exactly where you're coming from on that. But let's step aside.
And
we'll
speaking
get
of one
into
of the beautiful games, this is one of the teams that set up the beautiful game.
Yeah, Barca. Absolutely. The Barca Academy, proud sponsor of the National
So
Soccer
many
Network, the official academy of FC Barcelona in the United States, designed for boys and girls ages 6 to 18. Barca Academy camps follow and replicate the FC Barcelona game model. Same philosophy used by Barca's professional coaching staff. Right now, you can save $30 on registration by using promo code FCB30. Scan the QR code on your screen. Find a camp near you at fcbarcelona.us/camps.
In Barca camp, I see my son grown on and off of the field. Don't miss the time to register.
Sign up now for Barca camp.
Welcome back in. Sports Nation TV, our all sports content here in hour number 2 of Inside the Game. Love you guys dropping by, following us on social media, liking our videos, commenting on our stuff. Truth is that I feel like our growth continues to just go up and up. And a lot of that is thanks to you guys. And we appreciate you guys, as always, obviously, for stopping by in the morning and getting to chat with us a little bit. Continue to like those videos. Continue to tune in. Continue to join along. Obviously, we're only going to continue to ramp up our coverage as we get closer to the 2026 World Cup.
I meant to do this before the last topic, but again, we're trying to get 2,000 followers before the World Cup, and yesterday we gained a ton, and we just gained 2 more on TikTok. Omar and Inevitable Mel just followed us on TikTok, so shout out to you two. Thank you for following us. We're up to 1,240. We're trying to get that to 2,000 by, well, we can easily tell when the World Cup is because it's 118 days now because 118 comes out. It's going to be pretty easy to tell how many days are out left until the World Cup. So just follow us on social media and you'll never forget how many days until the World Cup.
Yes, so follow us and then make sure Ryan's 120 days to the World Cup and his list as he continues to drop more and more of those videos. Well done on that segment. But let's get into our all sports conversation here today. Trinidad Chambliss. Ferris State product, won a couple of national championships at Ferris State before transferring to Ole Miss, has been in a legal battle, trying to get another year of eligibility in the NCAA. Ryan, you had the point on here. Never seen anybody refuse so hard to go to the NFL, but I think that's the entire point. But I want you to get your opinion on this. Where do you fall in all this? I know that you want him to just kind of go away. You know, why does he need 1,700 years in college athletics? But what's your take on this?
First off, let's not have a judge who's a Ole Miss donor / alum. Just saying. I'm just putting it out there. And then when we try to get Charles Bediako or whatever his name is, and when his restraining orders, can we not have Alabama donors be in charge of that? I'm just saying, let's not make it super shady. Shout out the SEC, who all of a sudden is upset that the playing field is fair when they said they didn't pay players for years. Weird how this is all working out, and they're the ones.
Yeah.
But look, I'm tired of seeing 30-year-olds playing college football. I'm tired of 25, 26-year-olds playing college football. I get the whole COVID year. I get the whole medical red shirt. I get all that. But look, after 5 years, kick rocks. That's ultimately what it's got to be now. And I don't have look, if Trinidad comes out and sucks and then doesn't make it into the NFL, doesn't get drafted because he decides to come back for a 6th year, I'm going to laugh. Simply laugh. And because look, your stock will never be higher in the NFL. Never will. It's never going to be. Also, this is the worst NFL quarterback draft class I have ever seen. This is horrible. And Trinidad is going to forego a year so he could stay at Ole Miss. Look, you lost your coach. You lost a couple of offensive weapons. Your offensive line sucks. And a lot of your plays are RPOs or broken down plays. That's your explosive plays. That's why a lot of people liked Trinidad, because he has all the broken down plays, and everyone loves that stuff. But look, if you're trying to get a 6th year, when ultimately, if you ask any single athlete in the world, regardless of age, 99.9% of them would say, oh, what's your end goal? Oh, yeah, it's to make it pro. And you're just not going to go pro because you want a 6th year and I get it, it's to make a little bit more money because he knows he ain't making money in the NFL because he wasn't even given a combine invitation. So I understand that, but I have never seen someone so hard try to get a 6th year. I need to appeal this one. Then let's have another appeal. Then let's have a reconsideration appeal. It's like he tried so hard to just get a 6th year. And look, dude, if he goes out and stinks, that's your fault, man. I have no sympathy for 6th years. I have no sympathy for 7th years. I'm so tired of it. Just give these kids 5 years of eligibility, no matter what, regardless of how good they are, regardless if they play as a true freshman. Give them 5 years, call it a day. No more of this, let's go to court to get a 6th year. No more to get a court to come back to then go play college after you left. No, give them 5 years of eligibility, and the moment you leave college to go pursue a pro league, a pro career, that's it. It's simple as that. You get 5 years, that's it. And if you get hurt, if you get a medical red shirt, that's the 5th year added on to that. But you can play, if you play every single game as a true freshman, you still get a 5th year. That's it. 5 years, call it quits.
I'm all for restrictions on it, and I've told you that is something that the NCAA needs to adopt. 5-year contracts, 4-year, 5-year, whatever it happens to be, because I don't think it's right when we have, 25 and 30 somethings coming back to play. Mind you, now if you took a break from college and you're trying to pursue the dream and you're coming back, we've seen that before in sports, and I don't mind that at all. The final
You don't
point
mind
that
pro
you made
players
is that
coming back to play college sports?
not pro players.
Oh.
If you were getting paid, that's a different sport. I'm talking about the guy who's like working at Macy's who wants to come back and maybe play. Who was like a high school player, JUCO,
okay.
didn't
I was
work out.
I was
Like one of those
"Jeez."
stories. No, not
Letting
the pro
anybody in.
guys. But I think your final point that you made there isn't one that we should just brush over. I think it is the point. I think once upon a time, the whole saying of, well, now's the time to go. Well, now you have to capitalize on the momentum you have because there was no fallback plan. The only fallback plan was just another year of school, right? Where you could potentially get hurt. Anything could happen. Like, yeah, even if you're playing at a big program, you're getting your school paid for. The degree was really the only thing that players came back for, or a chance to win a national championship. That whole conversation has changed now. It's not, that's really not why they're coming back. And if I'm Trinidad Chambliss's agent, if anything, I think he's honest. I think he gave a fair assessment. We just talked to Alex Lubianski the other day of Detroit Metro, and he talked about the honest assessment of talent and not filling people's heads with these lies about what they could potentially do. And if I'm his agent and I was lying to him, I'd be like, yeah, man, go to the NFL. Like, you're ready. He's not, and he doesn't have the same earning potential, and he's not an NFL caliber quarterback in my estimation. He's a great player. He's a playmaker. I don't think he's NFL caliber, and he didn't get a combine invite. And so if I'm his agent and if I'm having a brutally honest conversation with him, I'm going, listen, dude, the NFL is there in case this doesn't work out. You could get a practice squad. You could try your best to get into the NFL. If not, go play in Canada. There are other professional options for you. And again, he's still a playmaker. I could see him being like a Denard Robinson. Denard was not a quarterback in the NFL. Denard just played special teams and did other things, but he still had an NFL. He was a running back. So, I mean, he did other things that still gave him, until he got, a little chunky. But there were things that he did that allowed him to be a part of the NFL landscape without playing the same position that he did. I could see Trinidad because he's an athlete. So I could see him doing these different things. But that's exactly why he fought so hard to come back to college, because it doesn't matter if he doesn't win a national championship or maybe he takes a step back or regresses a little bit in some sort in his play, because the amount of money that I'm sure he's going to make this year trumps what he would make, I'm sure, in the first couple of years of being someone who's sitting on the bench in the National Football League.
I think he's
and so this is about setting up what moves on beyond this for Trinidad Chambliss, which is, again, how much did he make last year for Ole Miss? I don't even remember what
probably
the
not
number
a lot
was,
because he was a backup to start.
Yeah. Okay. So you talk about potential. Yeah, this is the year where your earning potential is the highest in college football. This is the year where they're going to pay you to come back. And so it's either that or you get the rookie league minimum in the National Football League and then maybe make it beyond a couple of years, which we know majority of the players in the National Football League do not see their careers go beyond. I think the average career expectancy in the NFL is like 2 years. Makes 2 years, 2.5 years, something like that before players are gone. Like, that's how hard it is to break into the NFL. And so if I'm Trinidad, that's why we're seeing this happen. Now, is it ridiculous that kids are sticking around for 5-6 years? Yes. I think when we look back at COVID and what COVID was, I don't think we realize just how much that screwed up everything. Like everything in terms of the world, because we do everything remote now. I mean, even what I'm doing right now. I mean, I'm in Grand Rapids, you're in Detroit. Now, I realize that there were remote shows before COVID, but it has become more and more prevalent with broadcasting, with everything. And the sports world got messed up because of that extra year of eligibility. And then you loop in red shirts and then you loop in everything else. But now it's become like just kind of a part of it. Like, you're just trying to use it almost as an exception to get yourself that extra year. I get that it's annoying, but coming from his perspective, it's 100% the right call.
Yeah, no, I get it. It's so he can make money. I get that. But look, dude, you played in college since 2020 or 2021. Go. Leave. Like, it's weird.
I mean, if we're looking at it as in terms of like a promotion, I mean, when he went from D2 to D1, like, this is almost only his second year in high level.
Cam Ward played 1 year at Miami and then went to become the #1 overall pick.
That's fair.
And he was at a
Cam
JUCO.
Ward's a better quarterback.
And he wasn't even at. Yeah, there's a lot of better quarterbacks than Trinidad Chambliss. The dude stinks. Look,
I don't know if he stinks, but yeah, I get
in the
what you're
grand
saying.
scheme of quarterbacks, yes, he stinks. But
He
if
nearly won a national championship.
One-
I think he's pretty
look
damn
at the
good.
quarterbacks coming. He's now compared to a Division I quarterback now, right? What he did at D2 doesn't matter. Sure, he won a Division II. Congrats at Ferris State.
I'm not saying what he did at D2 doesn't matter. I'm
you know
saying what he did at Ole Miss this year matters.
Did J. Rue Campbell win a national championship with Ferris State? Probably.
Did he?
And where's he at now? And that dude actually like tried to go to the pros, unlike Trinidad. But it's like weird. It's like I look at Ty Simpson, and he was offered $4 to $5 million to go to a different team, but he said, "Nah, I'm just gonna go pro instead." So it's like other people have money, but they're like, "F it, I want to go pro and try to make it in that." And look, if Trinidad like flames out this year, because look, I don't think Ole Miss won't make the playoffs. I really don't, because of everything that they've lost, and what they did this year was remarkable. And I ultimately think that Trinidad being your quarterback for a full year, yeah, they'll probably win 9 games, but 8 games, sure, and he'll be electric in certain games. But they're not winning anything. And ultimately, that your best year was last year, and I think you just go out on top if that's the case, because what is it going to be? Everyone's going to compare you to what you did last year. And then once it's not to that level, the pressure's going to constantly mount of you have to get back to the playoff, you have to get back to the semifinal. And Trinidad, I don't think is going to go up to that expectation. Now he's a full-time starter too. He's going to be a full-year starter. He didn't start the year he didn't start the year as a starter at Ole Miss. He was the gadget guy. And Lane Kiffin said at the start of the year, he goes, if we get our backup quarterback in the game, just look at him. He's so electric. So I just think, like, man, the goal is to get to the NFL, bro. Just go to the NFL. Like, leave. Like you did your 5 years.
The difference is millions of dollars. I've never been faced with millions of dollars, so I can't. I mean, let's just say the difference is like $4 million, right? Would you really pass up $4 million?
I want to see how much.
I mean,
because I know he's on an 18.
I don't know what the league is. Isn't the league minimum in the National Football League like $300,000? Is it $300,000?
Whoa, he's making $6 million. $6 million. He's not even that good.
$6 million, and for reference, the league minimum in the National Football League is actually $840,000.
He was making $665K last year. Wow, that's how, bro. That bubble's gonna burst. I ain't paying. If I'm a donor, I ain't paying Trinidad Chambliss that much money.
Back to the point.
Yeah,
kind of money. Yeah, that kind of money
can
completely change things.
Is this guy went to extent to go do it? Like, dude, you got denied twice. Leave. Just realize it. And also, that whole courtroom was a joke yesterday. Did you hear some of the quotes coming out of that room?
Oh yeah.
Did you hear? Ole Miss, you guys are really running a nice program over there. And you had Lane. Michigan had Sharon, so I guess that really trumps each other out.
Yeah, I don't know if we have any
but no, it's
place to talk on that.
If this guy starts bitching about certain stuff later on in the years about football, I have no sympathy for this kid. This kid, like, no.
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna. I don't think he's gonna. I mean, I like the kid. I like his family. I like everything about him. I'm just trying to explain to you why that is by far the smartest
decision.
Anything.
I understand what it is. He's getting money. But look, man, if you have now put yourself in the boat of no one has sympathy for you, dude. You chased the bag, you got it, congrats. But if I hear any bitching about this or that during the season about certain things, or when you leave, eventually, hopefully you leave Ole Miss. I don't know if next year you're going to want a 7th year because you were only D1 for 2 years. So I don't know if you're going to bitch again. But if I hear any complaining about him, I don't care. You had the chance to go pro, and your stock will never be higher, and you're in a weak draft class. Because next year, I don't even know what the quarterback draft class is going to be next year, but this is the worst NFL draft class of all time. So I don't want to hear, I got no sympathy for you, man. Just like if Carson Beck starts complaining, I could care less about Carson Beck. He looks like Timmy from South Park anyway, so he's behind the 8 ball regardless.
There's still a lane to pro for the kid, but yeah, I mean, man, I mean, if I can make over double digits, millions of dollars in college, and then maybe get into the NFL as a special teams guy or like as a backup somewhere, yeah, I mean, I'm jumping at
If this kid is not from Grand Rapids or went to Ferris State, and he's like from Missouri,
No, I would make the same exact argument. I'd make the same exact
you?
argument. Yeah,
You sure?
I would. I would make the same exact argument because
Okay.
he's not an NFL quarterback. So why would you put yourself in that position if you know you're not going to be a
just
quarterback?
Curious.
Like, and you keep saying his stock can never be higher. He had 1 year, and he was a backup, and he stepped in, and he did great, and he did all those things. But why would you not give yourself 1 more year? The path to pro is still there for the kid. That's all I'm saying.
Because he's not making the playoffs this year. Like, Ole Miss ain't going to do what he did. Cam Ward had 1 year at Miami. Stock was never higher. Goes to the draft. And last year's quarterback class wasn't even that great either.
Right. Yeah. But coming up next on the other side, we're going to get into the Pistons suspensions after the Hornets beef stew. Got a 7-game suspension. You talked about how he was lucky to get so. I would agree, leaving the bench. Pistons should have added another scorer. I would also agree with that. But let's talk about Man City really quick. Their soccer camps are a proud sponsor of the National Soccer Network, bringing world-class training inspired by Man City's global football philosophy to players across the United States. Open to boys and girls of all skill levels, these camps focus on technical development, decision-making, and playing the game the City way. Find a camp near you, usacamps.mancity.com. And welcome back in on Inside the Game, episode 229, here on the National Soccer Network. Getting into our Pistons talk here today. Suspensions were handed out after the Donnybrook the other night with the Hornets. We talked
Can
at
you
length
say that
about
on the basketball court?
Miles Bridges. Donnybrook?
Yeah, can you say that in basketball?
Yeah, you can say Donnybrook in basketball. Why couldn't you say Donnybrook in basketball?
Because isn't that a hockey term?
Donnybrook just means a fight. That's all it means. So
The Bad Boys became the Bad Boys last night or the other night.
Yeah, they did. And I'm happy to have him back. I think everybody in Detroit's happy to have him back. And I love Beef Stew's answer to why would you bring me to Detroit if I'm not going to get off the bench and go protect my guys? So, but lucky to only get a 7-game suspension, as you mentioned on our list.
Yeah. Look, first off, the NBA has a zero tolerance policy on players leaving the bench to go join fights. So, Beef Stew, you got lucky there. And I just got to quote Matt Shepard real quick. Worked with him a couple of times, for a couple months, I should say. And he said, the longer this went on, the more worried I got. And I would agree with that because now you're thinking the worst. How many games could this really be? And in Beef Stew's 6-year career, he's had 5 games, 5 different instances where he gets suspended. 4 of them being multi-game suspensions. And look, for everyone out there that's like, free Beef Stew shouldn't have gotten this because Miles Bridges and Moussa Diabate got this. Well, they got 4. But when you have a reputation, that gets pushed even more. And for the people that are talking about Jeremy Fears last week of like in the Illinois game where he just tripped somebody and they're like, well, how can you review that? How can you review that? He doesn't even trip him all the way. Well, their reputation carries. And for the people that, get upset that, reputation shouldn't ultimately matter all the time, well, it plays a factor in certain things. And I think Beef Stew, when you have a reputation like that, look at a Draymond Green. If your Beef Stew, any slight altercation that looks like a fight or may have kind of gotten into a fight, you're not going to get the benefit of the doubt, I should say. You're not going to get that benefit of the doubt. And I will say this about the Pistons and everything, but before we get into the Cade Cunningham need another score discussion, I'll say this. In terms of the fighting, all I'll say is that better not distract you from the grand scheme of things in the main goal. Because I feel like when it comes to fighting in this town, when it comes to everything else, and the Red Wings said it themselves when they played the Avalanche, they got to a certain point where, like, enough of the fighting. Let's go win cups. And I get it's new and everyone likes the fighting, and I get it, especially in Detroit. But this better not distract you from the main thing of an NBA championship, because sometimes that gets lost. If, well, they got into a fight, so I'm happy. No, you lost the game. Not saying the Hornets game they lost, but just saying. And this better not hurt you down the line because of what I'll say about needing another score, because that Hornets game worried me a little bit.
Yeah, and to your point, there's a reason why they're so strict on not coming off the bench to join things like that. I mean, number one, you only have a few referees, right? So they can't break up everybody. But, you've had malice at the Palace. You've had these other instances of then the crowd gets involved and everybody gets involved. So it is across the board. You cannot leave the bench. It's almost kind of like the same thing as like you can't take your helmet off, like in football on the field. You just can't do it. And if you lose it, you got to be off for a play. There are just certain lines that you don't cross. So there's a very specific reason why the NBA is so strict on that. But yeah, I don't see him as normally a distraction player. I think of him if there's one really good comparison in my mind. Now I think it's probably Rasheed Wallace. Now Rasheed Wallace I think was more skilled in what he could do on the basketball court. Way better of a player than Beef Stew, but it kind of reminds me of the same in the same vein is a Rasheed Wallace. But Rasheed at the same exact time, he would do the same thing for the Pistons. I mean, he would put him in bad positions with getting texts, with running his mouth too much. It was very much the Draymond Green effect before Draymond Green.
Besides
he was just so verbal that, yeah. Besides, all that. But so I understand the want to stand up for your teammates and to get out there and to do that. And I think it just really kind of sets a tone. But yeah, to get 7 games is hard. I don't think it's really going to affect us too bad. But you do have to, if I'm JB Bickerstaff, there also has to be this mentality of, okay, yeah, we want to fight. We want to be physical. We want to get in people's faces. We want to establish the tone right out of the gate. But what we absolutely can't do is stupid things to take away from what we're trying to do. Like don't cross over into the Dillon Brooks kind of thing. Like Dillon Brooks, if there's one prime example of someone who is a distraction, it would be Dillon Brooks. Yeah, the Grizzlies they're a perfect example. Young, talented, but the ego kind of got to him. And I think how good they were doing that year really just kind of it gave that team a certain sense of swagger and whatever, but it also made them arrogant. And so it felt like they had to go a step above and beyond with everything they were doing in order to get their point across. And then obviously it fell apart. Now, obviously we have the benefit of not being in the West, we're being in the East. So it's probably a little bit easier to hold on to your spot in the number 1 position, but I appreciate what he was willing to do by stepping up in that spot. But if there was anybody who was going to come flying off the bench, it was going to be him. And so he has to look inside also and realize that, it'd be one thing if we're kind of a, 6th seed, 7th seed, we need something to launch us in the right direction. that's okay, whatever. You're willing to, I'll eat the 5, 6, 7 games to go out and stand up for my guys. But when you're the number one team in the East, you gotta carry yourself a little bit differently. And I think JB Bickerstaff probably got into him a little bit and told him that, like, guys, we can't, the hunter has become the hunted. And that's a weird spot for the Pistons to be in. Like, we have for so long have been hunting the East in the top of the East. Now we're here. Now we're the ones getting hunted. And so for us to give into this emotional reaction, especially against the freaking Hornets of all people, like, really? Like, we're going to go out and fight with Miles Bridges and the Hornets who haven't done anything ever in their history? Michael Jordan, great player, but man, as a general manager, he sucked, and he still sucks. But it just seems petty. And it's like, that's not the spot. That's not the spot to do it if you're number one in the East.
I look at that situation, and that looks like what a champion doesn't do. And sure, you could say, well, Draymond did some of that stuff, but you had
but it's mostly
KD.
just Draymond.
You had KD, you had Clay, you had Steph, you had Iguodala. Cade is probably like the only So when I look at that Hornets game, this is what I was getting at, where they needed to add another score. So you see Duren go out, you see Beef Stew go out, and Cade, I wanted to see how the Pistons would react in terms of the offense. The defense, I never have any questions about the Pistons' defense and their hustle and their grit. That's what they pride themselves. That's what they hang their hat on. Look, that's fine.
Yeah.
But the offense I wanted to see, because ultimately the Hornets are a playing team, and this is the Pistons team that is competing for an NBA championship. Let me say that again. Competing for an NBA championship. And what Beef Stew did, not what NBA teams do. That's not what that's not what NBA contenders do. That's just not what they do. And so I'm like, all right, let's see what the offense does. And the Hornets did exactly what I thought it was going to be. Blitz Cade, try to make Cade super uncomfortable, because what does Cade not have out there right now? Their safety blanket in Jalen Duren. His safety blanket of, I can lob that real quick. Sure, Paul Reed did a really good job, but I'm not, again, this is another thing that annoys me about this town is like, oh my God, B-Ball Paul did this against this team. Like, look, dude, Paul Reed's not going to do that against Cat. He's not going to do that against a Jokic. He's not going to do that against a Chet. That's just the reality. He's not going to do that against Evan Mobley. That's just the reality of it. Sure, he's going to play well against the Hornets and the Raptors. That's fine. But you need your best players out there. And then as I'm watching that game, again, that game looked and felt like a playoff game based on how hard everyone was playing and all that fun stuff. And the Hornets made it interesting. And ultimately, they made that game super interesting. And it didn't even need to be that way because of how the Pistons reacted to certain things. And if I'm the Pistons and I'm JB Bickerstaff, and honestly, if I'm Trajan Langton, I'm telling you, what's that one Peaky Blinders meme? No fighting. No fighting. Absolutely no fighting. That's what I tell him every single game, because that sequence right there, that's a playoff game in a playoff series against the Cavs or the Knicks. That could ultimately cost you a playoff series.
Change everything.
Not only can you hurt that in that game, but how many in a 2-game suspension with Duren, you lose him for 2 more games. That hurts you in potentially 3 games. 3 games ultimately you lose, you're out of the series. So that hurts you in the long run. So when it comes to the playoffs, be tough. Sure, get into people's faces, but do not do that. Do not have that altercation, because that can cost you a playoff series and ultimately the team's best chance of winning an NBA championships since the going to work Pistons. Ultimately.
Yeah, no, you're 100% correct. I mean, we're right there. So, and just the reaction in the spot. And this is what's hard when you look at these very young rosters who have as much success as the Pistons have had. Again, it's just one of those places that none of these players outside of, obviously Duncan Robinson has, and there's other examples that have. But if you've never been in a position to where you are, again, the hunted as opposed to the hunter, sometimes it's tough to know how to I'm sure, to conduct yourself in that spot. And this is a young, emotionally charged Pistons team. And they operate on that, and they operate on the premise of Detroit versus everybody. They've adopted that mentality, but when it goes too far as to put you in compromising positions, again, that's just not good. And basketball is a game of runs, and I think that's what concerns me the most is when we start talking about suspensions and losing players. Like, you lose 2, 3, 4 straight games, things can go south really quick. And so when you talk about taking players out of the equation, because the way that this Pistons team is formed right now, to your point, Ryan, if Draymond was to do that once upon a time, you have so many weapons around you, and I'm not going to deny his impact, but you have so many weapons. We didn't get an MPJ. We didn't get that extra high level dynamic scorer, just alone ISO guy that can make things happen or draw double teams that can open up everybody else. We have Cade. And we have some decent scorers, but we don't have a list of superstars. We don't have a KD and a Clay waiting on the wings and
we
a
don't
Steph.
have the best shooters in NBA history.
We don't have the best shooter in the NBA. Yeah, exactly. All on our squad. So you have to have everybody doing their jobs at their times in order for this to work. And it works wonderfully when we do so, but it doesn't work when you're allowing a play-in team to get so far under your skin that they bring out this emotional reaction that all of a sudden puts you in a more compromising position. That's just not to your point. Again, that's not the way a champion carries himself. So no, I agree. I agree with everything you're saying.
I hope they graduate from that and be like, all right, let's just go win championships. Sure, it's cool because the city of Detroit just loves all that stuff. I get it. Like D-Day, or as they say, Fighting It at the Joe, a.k.a. D-Day. According to Darren McCarty. Yeah, they love that day. And, my parents have said, like, how rocking the city was. And that's fine. But the Red Wings said themselves, after all these fights and everything, ultimately there was stuff that led up to that. But ultimately the Red Wings said things and the Avalanche said things. They're like, dude, after a while, let's just go win cups. It's enough of all the extracurriculars. Let's just go win games. Let's go win Stanley Cups because, sure, you might be remembered for a fight here and there, and the fans will be, oh, remember when Beef Stew did that against the Hornets or did that against the Lakers? Yeah, sure. But ultimately, you want to be remembered, you go win titles.
Yeah. Breaking news also out of Bleacher Report. Texas native Cade Cunningham has purchased a minority ownership stake in his hometown MLB team, the Texas Rangers.
Yeah, I saw that.
Cade Cunningham wants to win the World Series. The Rangers, who, by the way, speaking of spending money, they did win one, and wants them to win another one. But they're not afraid of spending money. That's another organization that is not afraid of spending money. At the highest payroll in Major League Baseball a few years back. But let's take one more step aside. Since we're on the NBA topic, we're going to talk about the All-Star format. All-Star weekend is coming up. The All-Star game is dead in the National Basketball Association, and it has been dead for a while. It's not what it was. It's not what it was in the 90s. And it certainly isn't, because guys just don't really care to compete for it. So I heard Dan Patrick talking about this yesterday, and he was talking about Jokic and some of the other European players, and he made a good point, but I don't think he understood why he made a good point. We're going to talk about that more coming up next here on Inside the Game.
Experience the thrill that came like never before with NSN's Game Rewind.
Dive into full match commentaries enhanced with cutting-edge dynamic graphics,
letting you relive the highs and lows of your favorite matches in astonishing detail.
Whether it's a championship win or a legendary play,
NSN Game Rewind bridges the past and future with a broadcast experience designed to captivate.
Call 586-304-4405
and start watching today.
And we're back in. Final segment here on hour number 2 of Inside the Game, talking a little all sports and talking the NBA All-Star format. The All-Star weekend coming up. It'll be USA versus the world. So it's a little bit different this time around the way that it's formed. But Ryan, you were pretty quick on your opinion as it came to the way that this is going to be how this is going to look over the weekend, and also just the importance of all-star games, and do they even matter anymore in general. So you said you don't like the format is essentially what you were trying to get at.
It's the stupidest thing ever. It's the same thing the NBA normally does. They try to be the smartest guy in the room. Look, they based everything off of the Four Nations, and which the Four Nations was unbelievable. But they said they're gonna we looked at it and we'll adjust to it. But yeah, let's just be the smartest guy in the room and make a round robin. If I'm the NBA, quit the skills competition, quit the dunk contest, quit the 3-point contest. First off, if you're gonna do the dunk contest, just take the best dunkers in the world, because I've watched some of that stuff and it's unbelievable. Just get the best dunkers in the world. That's enough of just grabbing G League players, promoting them 10 days in, and then dunk. I don't even know. I looked at the dunk contest earlier this morning. I don't even know who half the players are. The only reason I know who Jace Richardson is because he played at State. And 3-point contest, who cares if Steph's not in it? Don't matter to me. But the All-Star Games simply just do this. Take the world against the NBA players, the American players, I should say, because they're all NBA players. Take the world NBA players, play them against the American NBA players, 48 minutes, and if it sucks, then we don't do it again. But if it's good, because that's what ultimately the Elam ending happened the first year they did that, that was a really good game. That's like the only NBA All-Star game I think I've tuned into since like ever, my entire life. I don't even watch All-Star games. Like Pro Bowls, don't watch that. And MLB All-Star games, I ain't watching that. NHL All-Star games, I don't watch that. Like the NBA had a good idea, and they just made it stupid, like they always do. The NBA just tries to be the smartest guy in the room, and let's just take something that's a really good idea, and people will probably compete in conversations and narratives that have been talked about for years of how the world's catching up. Yeah, let's put the world all together, and let's put the Americans all together and see what happens. Yeah. No, let's just do a round robin, because why not? Because we're the NBA and we're trying to be the smartest guy in the room. Because we're stupid. Like, look, Adam Silver, I get it. Smart guy. Business guy. I get it. But just be smart instead of the smartest guy in the room for a change. Just why we got to add, let's do round robin. Just do it. It's the stupidest thing. We might as well just do a 3-on-3 tournament at this point. Make that a round robin. And just have 2 games going on at the same time.
It's the reason why I was laughing so hard,
stupid.
Ryan. The reason why I was laughing so hard is because you made a great point. They had something great, and then they screwed it. They had a great opportunity in front of them, but they didn't do it. USA in the world. That should be the game. I think the dunk competition is stupid, to your point. It's not. We don't get this isn't Michael Jordan and Dominique Wilkins anymore. The NBA players don't care because they don't want to get hurt doing a dunk competition. We're never going to see the Air Gordons of the world anymore. We're not going to see any more of those. We're not going to see Vince Carter. It's not going to happen. But you say get the best dunkers in the world, but even then, like, some people don't know who these people are. Like, they might be like individual creators on like TikTok. Like, okay, a certain generation, you might be able to target with that. And to be fair, maybe the NBA is looking into that. But it was just, it felt different when the best players in the NBA actually cared about it. But no one cares about it anymore. So I don't care about the dunk competition. Most people don't. No one cares about 3-point competition. No one cares about the celebrity game that they play, which I know they do that. It feels like for every All-Star game now, there's always some sort of celebrity matchup. But here's my biggest question, because you can change up what it looks like all you want. Right, we can do LeBron and Giannis pick their teams. You could do East versus West. You could do whatever you want it to look like. You can switch that up as many times as you want. Does that make the players care any more about a game that at the end of the day does not affect their season, and that they're like does not affect anything in the long run? The answer to that is no. And so you can change up, like we could do 3-on-3 tournament. I don't care. That's not going to make them care any less. It's not going to make them play any more defense. It's not going to make them get any more active with their hands or run any faster. And the reason being is because, and I think a lot of this, and this is what I was going to bring up with what I heard yesterday, Dan Patrick talking about this on his show. The worst, the biggest, the players that really care the least about this All-Star game a lot of times are the Jokic's and the European players of the world. You know, the Wembanyama's, the Luka Doncic's, because, and we talked about this in terms of the Americanization of the sport of soccer here in the U.S. and having an MLS All-Star game, and a lot of these players just don't care, is because All-Star game, like that, the whole festivity and the show and the musical performances and the big thing that is All-Star game, which is All-Star weekend, that's all it's built up to be. It's just stars, and that's all they want. Is they don't do that everywhere in the world. This is a uniquely USA American professional soccer landscape thing where we build up these all-star games to be something much bigger than what a lot of other people in the world are like. They're not. They don't do that. Culturally speaking, they don't do that. And so they just see it merely as just a pickup game with friends, because what does it actually mean? So the better idea, and to your point, Ryan, the better idea, and the one that they missed out on, was the U.S. and then the players from the world playing the United States, because nothing gives them more pleasure than beating the United States. Also, wild idea, why can't we do something like a Four Nations in the NBA for the All-Star weekend? Why can't we do something like that? Why can't we have the U.S., France, Serbia, and then, I don't know, Spain, Canada? I don't care.
You'd probably do Serbia, Canada, USA, France.
Oh, yeah,
Well,
probably
I
Canada.
think the issue is a lot of those teams, like Serbia, there's only 2 NBA guys. So I think you would have to disrupt other leagues. You'd have to disrupt a lot of other leagues. Maybe I'm sure
I
maybe
guess,
some of the players in other nations for hockey aren't all in the NHL, but I feel like a lot of them are all in the NHL. But the issue is you have to disrupt a lot. Like for America, yes, you can have all American, you can have all NBA players. Even if you look at France, that player that played a ton, Yabusele, something like that, who dunked on LeBron James.
The one who dunked on LeBron.
I don't even know if he's in the. I know at the time he wasn't even in the NBA. I know he got a shot with the Sixers, but I don't know if he made it or anything. But you have to disrupt a lot of leagues, and all these basketball games are going on, and so you have to disrupt a lot of things. It's not like it's not like the USA where every single player on Team USA is an NBA player, and you can just take a break and they all can be on the team. There's only 2 Serbian basketball players that are in the NBA. That's Jokic and Bogdanovic. Yeah, there's a couple players that played in college in America, but no, you have to disrupt a lot of things. Simply, they had the best thing and they made it stupid. That's literally, they had the idea. They were so close of making it good. And they were like, nah, let's just make it stupid. Let's just make it stupid and lame. I think of Cartman when he did that, whoever was in charge of like Star Wars for a while there with Disney. And then he goes, I'm just making it stupid and lame, like so-and-so from Star Wars, whatever. But to be honest with you, Nate, I didn't even know All-Star Weekend was this weekend until I looked yesterday because I heard someone say something. All-Star games, just get rid of them all. Like, there's no point of them. There's like, honestly, because we have such like a injury crisis in terms of sports all the time when it comes to the playoffs, just give them a week off, 2 weeks off. That's what you got to do. Like, who cares anymore about All-Star games?
We're on the Pro Bowl path in the NBA. That's where we're at right now. You know, the Pro Bowl has become a nothing burger. No one cares about it anymore. I mean, it's good, obviously, for, you know, your personal records, you know, when we're playing Huda Beta and talking about Micah and Nathan Hutchinson, but the attitude around the NBA All-Star game, which is, it's not what it used to be. It used to be exciting. It used to be fast-paced. There used to be something tangible at the end. I think they used to decide like home court advantage or whatever for the NBA championship way back when. I don't know. I thought they did, maybe not. But either way, there used to be something there. There used to be something tangible. And maybe that's what it is for the NBA. I mean, maybe you have to, and yeah, we could say get rid of all-star games. And again, I don't really, you know, the only time I really care about all-star games or all-star teams is if I'm like playing on 2K and it's like, I'll be the West All-Stars, you'll be the East All-Stars, we'll play each other. Like, then that's fun. You just got more good players. But outside of that, like, I don't really care about it. So does the NBA like put something on the line on All-Star Weekend? Like, this is what we're playing NBA. For?
Give each player like $1 million or something if they win. That's all you can do. And you have to do it in Florida where the taxes are less. But It's like
yeah, that's true.
it's so stupid. Like honestly, I'm just better just not having it. Like just like
Yeah,
how to make it better? Well, the NBA had a chance to make it better and they made it stupid. The only other way to motivate these guys is give them more money, which to be honest with you, the NBA players are paid way more money than they should. Like there's no way these guys should be making
yeah,
$50 million when
no,
an NFL lineman, O lineman or
Yeah.
D lineman's making like 8 million tops. Like no,
Ain't no way.
it's stupid. These
Yeah.
NBA players get paid way too much as it is anyway. So ultimately, you have to give them more money to motivate them. But honestly, here's what I do. I'm Adam Silver. I sit down with the NBA players. I go, "Do you guys actually want to do this?" And they're like, "No." And I go, and you go, "Cool. So let's do it 2 weeks off." But you guys, and then you go to the teams and you go, "You can't bench players in the fourth quarter for tanking, and you have to do something with the tanking or something." But no, you tell them, or you just find them something crazy if they really aren't competing in the NBA All-Star game. But simply, I would just get rid of it. There's no point of them. Just give them
I
a
agree.
2-week break. Just give them. That's what I would do.
Let's get into question of the day.
Yeah, today's Friday too, so it's a little bit of a longer question of the day.
Oh yeah, we got our giveaway today. I forgot about that.
Yeah. Salt Athletic, an official sponsor, is here at the National Soccer Network. Use promo code NSN15 to save 15% off of that #1 smell-proof cleat bag. That 100% works. Scan that QR code on your screen or visit saltathletic.com today. But if you guys are wanting a chance to enter for a free Salt Athletic bag giveaway, we do it every single Friday. And, well, today's Friday. So we have 19 bags to give away after today. We have 18. And if you want a chance to enter into that, head to our Instagram at NatSoccerTV. All you got to do is just drop us a follow and tag a friend and comment hashtag NSN Salt Giveaway in the comments, and you'll be entered for a chance to win today. We don't have as many contestants, so to be honest with you, you could... Oh, wait, what just happened there? Oh, that just like completely... That's not the right wheel. That's weird.
Your wheels got flipped around a little bit.
Yeah, let me
We could take a quick commercial break if you want to. Come on back.
yeah, sure. We'll be right back with Inside the Game after this with question of the day. All right, I got the wheel working this time, so let's get
Okay,
this
let's
wheel underway. Jennifer Krot and Ryan Yetzler, there's only two. Who's going to win it? Jennifer Krot.
Yeah.
Congratulations. I apologize if I butchered your name, but you are going home with a Salt Athletic bag for
With a
free.
bag.
But the question of the day is simply this. What's a college football game that you remember, but nobody else does? I'm talking like an irrelevant football game, because I got mine.
Northwestern, Michigan, in the rain, at the big house, half full. Rich Rod's first year, raining out. Guy in front of us has a poncho on. He's also chewing tobacco because there's, nobody at the stadium, so there's no one to stop him from doing so. So just spitting into the puddle of rain to his left. And watched Michigan lose that game to Northwestern and then turn around and lose to Ohio State the following week by, I think, 35 or whatever the case may be.
Checks out.
But yeah, we were seated just outside of the end zone, beyond the end zone, about 7 rows up. There's actually still a video of the complete broadcast on YouTube. Sometimes I'll go back and watch it just because I was there, and so it's just I like looking at what Michigan football used to look like so that I don't feel too bad about what we're dealing with now, because it's actually far better than what it used to be back then. So, but that's that one. Yeah, I don't think anybody probably knows or cares or even remembers that game, but I was definitely there, and was definitely there with Dad, and it was a fun day, all told. I was too young to drink or participate in any other festivities, but I was in there because I had a friend whose sister went to Michigan and was living in one of the apartments just off campus. So that was my first true experience of the Michigan community, if you will. But yeah, they sucked. They were not good.
I got 2.
Losing to Northwestern was not fun.
I got 2. Both again are Michigan related. Actually, maybe 3. So because 2 of them actually involve Illinois. One was triple overtime, Rich Rod's final year against Illinois. Nathan Shieldhouse, the quarterback. Denard Robinson was in there. I think Tate Forcier was in there. It was like 65 to like 60 or something crazy like that. A typical Rich Rod game. The second one would be my first ever Michigan football game against Indiana. It had all 4 seasons in one day. It snowed, it sleeted, it was hot and sunny, and then it was a very fall day in certain points too. Michigan would go on to win that game by this was Brady Hoke at the time. So Devin Gardner was the quarterback, second to last year for those guys. And it was like 65 to 50. And if you actually go and watch that game on YouTube in the highlights, you will see how different in certain aspects of the game, how crazy the weather change was. Because there's some snaps are in full sun, not a cloud in sight. Some looks like you're watching a 1950 broadcast because you can't see anything. And then the other one was, I was at my buddy's house in 2018. Michigan State, Illinois, and Brandon Peters was the Illinois quarterback, and Michigan State was up by a lot. So we were keeping tabs on it because he's a Michigan State fan, but we were watching the greatest college football game I think I've ever seen, LSU, Alabama, with Joe Burrow versus Tua. That was an unbelievable game. But as we kept putting as that game ended, we're like, yeah, let's just throw the Michigan State game on. It's like a 3-touchdown game, Michigan State's favor, and all of a sudden Brandon Peters just went stupid. Threw for 300 yards, 5 touchdowns somehow in that game, and Illinois ultimately wins the game. And it was just this unbelievable comeback by Brandon Peters, of all people, in East Lansing, and it was awesome. But those are just some. There's a lot, actually. If we really just did a deep dive on it, there's a lot of games that people just truly don't remember.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and some that we can certainly get into on future episodes. But for this week, that'll wrap things up here on Inside the Game. I already gave you guys a peek at what we got going on. Following week, a lot of different guest interviews will be stopping by here Inside the Game. So make sure you check us out. We'll be posting all that, of course, on social media as we get closer and closer to the 2026 World Cup. But for Nate Wangler, Ryan Glinsky, Tanner, thanks for joining us a little bit earlier, and everybody else who is involved with Inside the Game. We will talk to you on Monday. And until then, so long, everybody.
From the biggest matches to the hottest takes, Jonathan Turner and Nathan Wangler bring you the stories, the analysis, and the edge you won't get anywhere else. Streaming live weekdays at 9 a.m. on YouTube, Roku TV, Facebook, Twitter, and all major platforms. No filters, no fluff, just real talk, real soccer. This is Inside the Game.